Welcome everyone to the 5th class trial. Now then, you guys all probably know how this works, but I'm still gonna go over the rules because you know how we work. Your goal is to figure out who killed Squirtle. It's a shame he died. He almost successfully, or maybe, beaten another killing game. Cool. Survive like 10 class trials and then you die. What a Anyways, if you guess correctly, you all go free. However, if you pick the wrong killer, I get to execute all of you instead. Not go free, but you get what I mean. Stay in the school, and that person will get executed. Blah blah blah. Well, and then there were 6 of us. Well, do we really think that one of us may have killed Squirtle? I'm not so sure, honestly. Doesn't seem like, why would any of us want to kill him? I mean, he was our, guide after all. Yeah, he was the one helping us in this entire killing game. It's hard to imagine one of us being the one to kill him, even this after going through so much. Not to mention, we've already lost plenty of people, so...
Well, it's going to be hard, but we'll see if we can figure out what happened. I mean, Squirtle was one of the smartest people here, but now that he's gone, it's up to us to figure it out. So, where should we start?
If you don't mind, why don't we go over the most confusing piece of evidence? AKA the Monokuma file? I was going to say the same thing. What was the deal with the Monokuma file, huh? It made no sense. It contradicted everything we saw happen to Squirtle's body. Well, I assure you, it was not a lie, even though you guys may think that. See, I've told you the truth about all the other ones, haven't I? Why would I lie about this one? I mean, you did want to kill Squirtle, so... That's for a completely other reason. Well then, do we have our first topic? The idiotic Monokuma file.
I think so. Let's go over it, see what we can find out. Is Monokuma really lying, or is there something else we don't know?
What the Monokuma file said about Squirtle's body completely contradicted with what we saw, how Squirtle died. The cause of death was said to be stab wounds, but Squirtle's body wasn't bleeding. But Monokuma's never lied about the Monokuma file before. Yeah, why would he want to now? Because he wanted to kill Squirtle. Not to mention, we saw Squirtle's neck get snapped. There's no way stab wounds could have caused his death.
No, that's wrong. That's what we keep thinking. We did see Squirtle's neck get snapped by the bungee cord, that's true.
Exactly, so that means...
Well, maybe it's not what could have happened. Let's just assume. Let's try and take a different path. What if we assume that it's true that by somehow Squirtle did die by stab wounds?
The Monokuma file had some pretty big stab wounds. It's hard to see him getting killed by that, right? What? How? If he was stabbed by those, all those, like it said in the Monokuma file, then obviously there would have been blood. Well, maybe he could have been stabbed, by his shell. That way it was hidden out of view. I doubt that's the case. Plus, one on the Monokuma file, one's on his arm and one are on his leg. I guess it's true. So maybe it's not all on his back. But still, we saw the bungee cord snap his neck in full time, so what else could have done it? Well, we'll have to figure out something. If it is possible that Squirtle did die by stab wounds, we'll have to figure out what may have done it instead.
I agree with Rousey. We'll have to go over the evidence. Maybe there is something else that may have caused it that we don't currently know about. We'll see if we can understand what may have really killed him.
If the Monokuma's file right, and it wasn't a bungee cord that killed him, then what was it that actually did kill him? If the Monokuma file said it wasn't a bungee cord, then what else was it? Maybe there was something else at the crime scene that could have done it that we may have skipped by. There's no way something else could have done it. I mean, What item could cause perfectly sized holes like that? I didn't see anything.
No, that's wrong. Looking over what we found during the investigation, I do have one idea for what may have done it.
You do, Luigi.
If I were to guess, what about that spike trap?
You mean the one behind the weird suitcase he was attached to?
Exactly. Recalling it, it did have blood on it, did it not?
I guess that is true. But how did that kill Squirtle? I mean, if we compare it to the stab wounds on the Monokuma file, it would have easily caused those 5 perfectly shaped holes in his body, like we saw in the file.
Exactly, and considering there was also blood, it must have been what we saw.
I don't understand, Luigi. No matter how many times you claim it, Luigi, I just can't get to understanding how that's even possible.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's no way that could have done it, especially considering we saw how he really died in front of us.
No, there's something bigger going on here, Rousey. Something that we may not have figured out yet.
Like what else? Luigi, although you keep saying something else may have killed Squirtle, it's just not possible. I mean, we saw him die in front of us.
No, we must have gone tricked or something. The Monokuma file doesn't lie. We know that.
But we saw Monokuma try and kill him. Why wouldn't he lie then?
Because it's the rules. If he cheated at his own game, well, that would be cheating.
No. Hang on. But there was no blood on Squirtle. So, how could we have seen him die, yet he died another way? It's not possible.
No, that's wrong.
But how?
There we go. Although that's what we may have seen, I still don't believe it's true. There's still one thing we have not mentioned, but I think it may be the truth of the case.
What do you mean?
So, listen up. We saw Squirtle die, right? By getting his neck snapped by the bungee cord. However, the Monokuma file says he died by a stab wound. And we know that was a spike trap, which was covered in blood and was behind the suitcase. So, if I were to guess, knowing what we found during the investigation, the Squirtle we saw die wasn't really Squirtle.
What the fuck? I'm sorry, language. Luigi, have you gone mad? What do you mean? I'm not sure. Best explain yourself.
I think you three should know better than anyone. I mean, remember the dolls in the empty room?
Dolls? What dolls? Oh, there were a bunch of dolls in the empty room. I don't think you ever saw them. I certainly didn't.
Well, these dolls were in this empty room that we thought was empty. And they were all killing game participants from the last one, the one that Squirtle was in. But when we went back to check during the investigation, Squirtle and the other survivors were missing.
Oh. It's a shame I couldn't see this for myself, but I guess, what does this mean? So, if I'm getting this right, you're trying to say that maybe the Squirtle we saw was a doll?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. The doll we saw was not really Squirtle. It was just a doll.
What? How does that make sense, Luigi? I mean, like, going over, we saw them screaming and...
I think I can come up with some ideas as to how this was implicated, or faked even. Just by thinking about it, I have a few.
Well, how?
I mean, well, there's multiple different areas that could have happened or resulted in this fake. So, I mean, it's not entirely impossible.
But you can't deny that the doll was missing, so maybe it was a fake, and we didn't really see Squirrel die. There's no way that's possible. I mean, how could something like that even happen? find it super a bit hard to believe, you know? I must agree, Luigi. That is such a big leap in logic. Even I may not have seen the dolls, so I don't know if this is possible or not.
No, it's the only explanation I could think of. I mean, how else could it have happened?
My cubs would have probably pointed out to me now that one of you are probably hinting at a scrum debate happening. But since they're all gone and I shut them down, I just know there's a scrum debate about to happen, so we got split. And hey, he's not here to argue with me. So, anyways, we're gonna deal with the scrum debate and you're gonna have it, okay? So, everyone get to your teams. Which side you believe, and we shall begin. We saw him die in front of us. How could it have been fate? Telltale, the Monokuma file already proved to us that something else is going on. He didn't die by the bungee cord. It's hard to believe something like this, especially considering there's no really proof that they were even dolls. Mischievous. But we all saw the dolls. You, Junior, Telltale, me, and Luigi. But how's that possible? I mean, the bag was over his head. We heard him trying to talk. Telltale. But what if something else was muffling his voice? If it was a fake Squirtle? But if Squirtle was a fake, then how did the Monokuma announcement go off?
I'll do it. Well, there must have been something else. We must have saw him. It must have triggered it. A fake. This is our answer. Now, with that out of the way, it must mean that the Squirtle we saw get their neck snapped was indeed a doll.
Alright, so it was a doll. Then what does this mean? Well, it means a few things, actually. Well, for one, knowing that you, Rouse, and Coral didn't even know about the dolls in the first place, you know, technically this would mean you're off the hook. There's no way you could have done it. What, really? Well, I guess we didn't know about the dolls to begin with.
Yeah, none of you had seen the doll, so there's no way you two could have possibly murdered Squirtle.
So that leaves the suspects to me, Junior, Mischievous, and Luigi. But that still doesn't explain where was Squirtle really hidden then?
Where was Squirtle really hidden? If it wasn't him, then how did he die? Where was he located? It's a good question, and I think I have an answer to it.
If the squirrel we saw get their neck snapped was the doll Squirtle, then where was the real one located? The real Squirtle must have died somewhere, right? Maybe he died early and then his body was hidden. Maybe he was hidden in the suitcase. I mean, that would be a good spot to hide a body, and we didn't check it.
I agree with that. The suitcase, yes, that must be it. Squirtle's body must be in there.
Well, you really think so? But how does that make sense? Well, we didn't check the inside of the suitcase because we had to get rid of the rope and we thought that it was evidence.
Exactly. Because we left the rope in there, so we didn't bother to check inside.
So there's a chance Squirtle is really in there.
Yes.
Well, maybe, what if we could check somehow?
I mean, we do have the square or whatever. We can use that to check if Monokuma will allow it.
You know what? Sure. I mean, I don't forbid you. I don't let you leave the trial, but I'll let you use the testing square.
Alright, then recreate the crime scene for me at current time. Alright. So, this is the fake Squirtle, the doll. Now, I'm gonna move it out of the way. And we're gonna check inside the suitcase. See if the real Squirtle is in here. And if we're lucky, we may just... It seems we were right on the money. He is in here.
So he really died in there? Wow. Squirtle, I'm so sorry this had to happen to you.
Well, now that we know he was really in the suitcase, we can know a few things. What if the spike trap was put on the back wall, and you know the suitcase stopped abruptly, right? Because it stopped so abruptly, he probably ran into the spikes, and that's what killed him.
But then, how did the spike trap fall outside?
Well, there's a bit of a latch back here, a zipper. See, it's a bit open too, so it probably slipped out on accident.
Wow. Squirtle.
Well, there we go.
So, I guess it's all true then. But this begs the question then, how did we see Squirtle, his body? Like, how did the Monokuma announcement go off? That is true. Like, was there a part of the body that was real? That would be grotesque.
Maybe, but it is worth for discussing.
So, how did the Monokuma announcement go off? If Squirtle's body was hidden, it shouldn't have went off, right? Maybe there was a specific body part hanging out to let it trigger. Potentially an arm or leg? No, we saw what really happened to him. All his arms and legs were stabbed. They would have been blood. His tail seemed clean. Maybe that was sticking out, and that's what triggered it.
I agree with that. His tail was indeed clean, and considering how it was backwards, I can see it being mistaken for the doll Squirtle's tail instead. That must be it.
That would have been uncomfortable. And it only retracted once Squirtle got, slammed into the back of the suitcase, slamming in, and then exposing the real Squirtle doll tail when it fell, right? I think so. So, where does this leave us? Why would Squirtle do something like this? Or who would do it to him? I don't know if this was a suicide. You can't really tie some doll up from behind, especially when the suitcase latch was in the front, locked by the rope, right? So, that must mean someone did kill him, right?
Yes, but now that I'm thinking about it, I may just know who it is.
Luigi, you do.
The one who may have killed him. Squirtle. Wait. If they have alibis, and I know who it is, and I don't want to say it. How can it be them? No. How is it? You're the only one